So this happened. Of course, it happened on the vacation. We're here with my daily, the green Porsche 911 996 Carrera, and going around curves, this thing would start making noises if you started to punch it. It was there when I got the car initially, but it started to get worse on this trip. And of course, I'm away from home, so can't get parts, can't get my equipment, so can't fix it myself or have one of the local guys do it. So found a really cool shop called Jesse's Garage. He's a BMW enthusiast and a race car driver for rallying, and he works on cars here in Sarasota. So he looked underneath, he test drove the car, and he figured out that it was the transmission and the engine mounts were gone. So we had to get all that changed out. And everyone that thinks Porsche repair is not cheap, it is not cheap. I'll tell you about the parts and the labor to do the parts here soon. And then we'll go on a test drive, and hopefully nothing else falls apart on this trip.
Go.
So here's the transmission. Yeah. This thing is supposed to be stuck in there, and they're floating. That's wonderful. And here are the engine mounts. And this is not how you're not supposed to be able to move this.
They're just like, oh yeah, and then they're just like higher too. That's just all collapsed. The rubber here collapses. This is probably at least an inch higher. And they pinch that gasket. You can see here.
And I basically got in a local shop that was not experienced and doing my transmission filter and gasket, and it screwed that up too.
Oh, talking about the transmission filter, there is an O-ring in the transmission filter that keeps the transmission filter in place, and there's a rubber neck of like 3 inches high. So that was inside the pan.
It was just sitting there.
It was sitting there, so it wasn't not sucking enough oil from the bottom of the pan. It was just like only from the top. So you just didn't have a proper working transmission either.
Jesus. It's $1,800, and that's just the starting point. So basically what they had to do was get the engine mounts, both of them. That was $234 for each engine mount from Porsche. So the parts for that came out to $468, and labor was $154. Then again, we do the transmission mount, which was, I showed you in the video, literally like in bits. It was $316 for the transmission mount, and the labor was $154. And then basically this is my own creation because I used an inexperienced shop to do the transmission fluid and gasket as well as change, and they had to get a new pan gasket, new adapter, the new fluid, which parts were only about 100, but they had to take the pan off. They had not put the O-ring properly on the filter, and then the gasket was leaking because they didn't install it properly. And then they had to take care of the drain pipe. What it was is whoever did the shop, I'm not going to name it, when they did it, the filler bolt, they stripped it. So these guys had to essentially get a new drain bolt on it. So it was a lot of labor involved. That was about $400. So that goes $1,800 out the way. But I'm going to show you here shortly that the car this is probably the highest mile 996 you will see on the road. It's got 169,000 miles and no more noise. I just took it around the curb, but I'm going to show you in a video shortly that there's no more noise when I'm punching it, and the car is riding smooth as can ever. And even now when I'm shift into reverse drive, there's no clunking noise anymore. Beforehand, just doing that in itself was making a lot of noise. So we'll go to the driving part next.